big night last night, celebrating the opening night of your exhibition. But yeah, to start off, do you want to go around and introduce yourselves? So, what's your name? Where are you from? And how old are you?
Hello, I'm Ebony, I'm 23 and I'm from South London.
Hi, I'm Christopher. I'm 23 and from North London.
Hi, I'm 456, I'm 26 from South London.
I'm Paolo, I'm 25 and I'm from South London.
I'm Fakaya, I'm 22. I grew up in Lagos, but I now live in West London.
Looking back at the last 6 months, can you tell me how your photography style has changed? So think about what skills you developed during the programme and how that's influenced your photographic style.
I've challenged myself more whilst being on the course, and because of the support of the foundation, been able to push myself more in regards to ideas and concepts, and just knowing that we're getting feedback and knowing that there is that kind of support behind it. It's good to really fully go in with your ideas rather than hold back. So
Yeah, I think my sort of style has developed because I never really did portraiture or any fashion before this shoot. So being able to actually execute that, which has been a vision of mine for a very, very long time. And having that access and that ability to actually have the resources and the support behind it was just immense. So yeah, that's how
For me, I just always knew that I like music, I take photos, I want to combine the two. But when I started, I had no idea what that meant. I thought it was live music and that was the end of it. But yeah, again, the skills I've learned here, working in the studio, confidence I've gained to just approach people and say, yo, let's work together. My work has come a long way since I started.
I would say the same. For me personally, I felt like this has been a journey, of self-development, self-growth. My style was completely different from when I first started. I had no knowledge in studio lighting or how to be in the studio or use the equipment. So being at TPF, it was really helpful in that sense. And getting more knowledge within the industry, and what sort of avenues you can go to. It doesn't really have to be photography, but it could be anything. You just got to have a passion for it. Stay true to yourself as well.
I think for me it was kind of very similar in the sense I didn't know how to use any studio photography or lighting before I came. And so I think this really gave me the opportunity to find my style because it kind of let me explore the different options when it came to how I wanted to put across my vision. And before I always had these very kind of big, huge ideas, but no idea on how to kind of make it work. But what was really good about this, it was really useful for helping me to streamline all my thoughts and kind of boil down the essence of my ideas.
So can you all tell me how you came up with your concept and what was your process that led to creating the work that we see on the display?
So my concept was based in kind of challenging what is kind of considered high fashion, because my work generally is very focused on people who are marginalised in representation within the industry. And so I kind of wanted to, again, challenge notions of what was considered high fashion in terms of what clothes could be considered high fashion, what bodies could be considered high fashion, and what kind of poses could be considered high fashion as well. So I worked with a swimwear brand, Nami Swim. She's a sustainable, black-owned sustainable swimwear designer. And then I also worked with plus-size models as well to kind of challenge these ideas of diversity as being a very tokenistic thing, and this kind of concept of celebrating the black female form. And it was logistically difficult because, again, I tend to have quite big ideas, but it was really useful in terms of how the studio helped us to structure our projects, because we had organized test shoots and the final shoots. So that was really helpful for kind of trying to make sure I did everything well. Yeah, it was a good experience.
At the beginning, I was really struggling to find a concept for my project. I started to discover like fashion, so I tried doing a bit of the fashion stuff, so being in the studio, getting some models to come in, and it was fun, but I just didn't feel like it was more aligned to who I am as an individual. And at the time, I guess like I was heavily into like skateboarding and in subculture as well. So I decided to do a project around that because I was always at the skate park. And then I got to get closer to the skaters, be part of the community as well. It was really cool getting to meet peoples and knowing their story as well, you know, really inspired me in creating the body of work that you see here in the studio. I wanted to focus it more on 35mm and give it more that nostalgic feeling to it. And I'm passionate about like getting more into like developing film and doing handprints as well, which is going to be my next step for the future. So yeah.
Yeah, my project is kind of quite a way, my personal project, because like I said, I knew that I wanted to work with musicians, and I just assumed, yeah, gig photography, that's it, that's as much as I can get. Because why is a musician ever going to agree to work with me? My photography isn't good enough. But in that process, I sort of gained the confidence in myself to approach people which I had never done before. Just reach out to random people whose music I liked and sort of overcome that hurdle, which is a massive hurdle, I'd say, for a lot of young creatives in all different fields. So yeah, I put my head down, I just drafted his email, I got to work with some amazing photographers in the process, such as Abiola Remi-Lawal, who is my personal idol, and somehow we're now mates. I've learned a lot from everyone who has come and given sessions and taught us different things, and sort of it's been beautiful, and I'm glad that my photos look the way they do, because I never thought I'd be able to create anything close to that.
So basically, to start off, I have a magazine called Bon Magazine. It's a Japanese fashion publication. Some saying tonight. And basically, I wanted to create some content for it, an advertorial for the next issue. And Bon is all about Japanese fashion and making it more accessible to people in the West to enjoy it, like myself. And the advertorial, the premise of issue 5 is all about the kind of isolation you can feel as someone who dresses differently, and kind of being viewed as other and people not really understanding. And I'm from a small town, so when people see me as I am, you know, I can get really great compliments, I can get people who are not too sure, and I wanted to really express that. And yeah, the advertorial is kind of about, it's literally about that, about the kind of like, how like in a really like vast landscape you can still kind of stand out, because like even, you know, in London or whatever, you know, I still get stared at, and it's kind of like this idea that, you know, you will always stand out regardless, but also the camaraderie and friendship that comes from finding someone who dresses like you and finding someone who looks like you, because especially in the UK the scene is quite small, so it's a really like wholesome thing, so I wanted to really portray that in the work. So yeah.
My project was sort of stemmed from a project I started before, which was all to do with like sustainability and what's sort of in season. So I wanted to stay on the path of sustainability, as that's the sort of, not life I live fully, but how I picture fashion, and I really wanted fashion to follow that path now. The first idea was very focused on high fashion, and it had to be high fashion. It doesn't always work, is something that I've learned the most about. Everything, the designers will easily fall apart and come together, and fall apart, come together. But I just got very lucky with having a designer that was very committed to helping me towards getting the project sorted. But yes, all to do with sustainability and trying to bring that towards the fashion industry. And I think in the end it actually ended up coming more towards high street fashion, and that's where the majority of consumer is, and that's where it sort of has the biggest impact. So yeah, that was bringing that towards my project. And
The commercial brief is the second half of the programme, so after they've worked very hard on their independent projects, they then have to work together as a team to work on the commercial brief set by one of our partners, and we've got some amazing partners who we've worked with in the past.
Yeah, so our commercial brief was working with Young Brent Foundation, which is this incredible foundation, obviously based in Brent, that kind of champions young people, and we have a very kind of diverse array of programs that they do to kind of like also help young people help themselves. So it's also very kind of like youth-led, which is like incredible. And so they are moving into new buildings. So our task was to help them photograph the new building, but then also help them to kind of take portraits of their staff to kind of like show the Young Red Foundation staff who they are. And it was like a really great experience because I think really challenged all of us, which I think was very useful because obviously it's never plain sailing when it comes to kind of dealing with clients. And there were lots of things that were kind of out of our control, so there was like a whole like storm units thing flying around, and we had to cancel our shoot because it was raining so hard and stuff. And I think it really kind of taught us to kind of like when to pull together, when to kind of like what to prioritize, and how to kind of like create something presentable out of what we could do. And so I think we did a little bit of innovation then. But I think it was a good experience, very good learning experience with us.
Amazing, thank you. Can you share one of your biggest highlights? That could be something specific, such as a workshop, or something more personal, such as like your own development. I know you've already all touched on it a little bit, but yeah, just like...
my personal highlight, caught up every year, but as you'll see up here, there's a series of my work with a guy in a series of t-shirts. That guy is Eddie Ochia. I bumped into him around one in Shoreditch years ago. Absolutely fell in love with his work, and I was like in awe of him. There we go. So being on this course, I don't know how else I would have ever had such an opportunity. He was shooting in the studio, was required 2 assistants. Me and Paolo ended up assisting him. So not only was I getting to work alongside my favourite photographer of all time, but then we built this like friendship, and like it seems so strange because he's so highly revered amongst the hip hop community, but he's just a normal person. And it sort of helped break that down and sort of share experiences, we stayed in contact, and we're going to work together in the future, so that was probably my biggest highlight.
The biggest highlight for me would be the zine, actually, the zine publication workshop that we had. The whole experience of just having your prints laid out and then from there having a selection, and the storyline could be as broad as you wanted to make it, you know. It was so interesting. It gives you like a sense of to be creative, and you can tell whatever story you like, really. So that was something for me, because for me it allowed me to express my ideas and thoughts as well through images.
So my biggest highlight is literally just getting to know everyone here, because I kind of have never studied anything creative in like a formal way. So like I've always felt very kind of like isolated in that kind of like creative community, and it was just like incredible to be able to just find people who were as passionate about photography as I was. And we had all these like incredible, amazing ideas, and like were such different photographers to me in like all the best ways possible. So I think it was just such an incredible experience that I found here.
I think my biggest highlight was probably just being able to learn how to produce a shoot. It just seemed almost like an impossible task prior to the course, and they sort of just give you encouragement and like just literally messaging someone is that easy, and it can really just start a journey of like creating that project that you planned so heavily, but just think, how would I even bring that to life? It just seems so impossible. So I think just the production and learning how to manage that and execute it to exactly how you want and it will never always be exactly how you want. That's the point. It's a learning process. But the first time ever being able to do that will forever be like enough.
I'd say the first thing is the chance to have a mentor. Because we all, I think it was about, 2-3 months in, we were assigned a mentor, something like that, who was kind of like, each kind of curated to each of us, which was so special. So for example, my mentor is Claire Chung, who's an art director at Penguin. She's amazing. I learned so much from her. And you know, we have monthly check-ins, and she has helped me so much with growing my work, but also with kind of approaching shooting in a more mature way, and also just learning to kind of really, I guess, make it more sustainable for me, because like for Kayo, I have really big ideas, and a lot of the time I overspend, or you know, the budget just goes out the window. So she kind of really helps me tailor that in. Secondly, I'd say the amount of feedback we get from you guys, especially Bella. We get so much amazing feedback, which, you know, I constantly like go back to and read on and make sure that I'm implementing that, because it is so valuable.
So, having spent the last 6 months learning about the industry, and as you're about to launch a career within it, is there anything that you'd like to change about the industry? And is there anything that you're excited as well about shaping within it?
I mean, it's an accessibility issue for me. Like, of course, you can't just let every Tom, Dick, and Harry, like, who says to be claims to be a photographer, in to shoot the cover of Vogue. But it's so far disconnected from. It doesn't seem attainable. It does not seem attainable as a young creative. And it realistically, looking at it, it's just applying yourself and putting in the effort and energy. So yeah, I'd like to just sort of show more people and give more people an opportunity, like TPF has, to sort of believe in themselves and their work. So yeah, just more accessibility to the people, y'all.
Being able to encourage the future photographers as well, having programs like this, having workshops, definitely broadens their knowledge, and definitely helps them to become better photographers, but yeah, also just help them get a foot in the door, you know, with the creative industry, because as we are aware, it's really hard.
I think for me, it'd definitely be kind of like the diversity issue with it, because I think a lot of the time in photography, like, you kind of think that it's so diverse because you always see kind of like diverse models on covers of magazines, but then obviously once you go behind the scenes, it's a very different kind of picture with that. So I think that's definitely something I'd want to kind of change, that like have more people's voices kind of like directing and in charge of what kind of makes on the front cover. But again, I think, as everyone has said, like, these kind of things are so important for that, because I think it really equips like young people with the tools to kind of reach those positions. So yeah, I think it's definitely changing, but it's something that needs to kind of be looked at as well.
Knowing that this is the creative space, but you're working under a foundation with a group of people, I wanted to know more about the creative process and how, if there are like limitations at all or barriers to kind of getting the product that you want to put out.
Oh, that's such a good question.
I mean, it seems like it's a very free space, which I appreciate so much, but I still want to know the process. If you're open to share, of course.
Yeah, I personally, I guess I kind of touched on it, but I have such big ideas, and I love to overexert myself and go a bit too crazy. So I'd say, like, it's difficult. I'd say, like, maybe the kind of like, I don't know actually. Like, it's really difficult because I feel like this space is so freeing. They're very open to all of our ideas, and even if they are crazy, they help us scale them down. So I guess maybe the Photography Foundation is quite commercially driven, so maybe I'd say when it comes to like more editorial stuff, it's not like like it's still great, don't get me wrong, but obviously they're more of a commercial photography foundation. So
from the moment that I applied, I kept thinking, what's the catch? Like, when are you gonna like take like a couple grand off me? When am I going to like pay for this studio space? And that's the thing. I mean, unless there is one like now. Yeah, there isn't. It's so open, so free, and you're encouraged to do whatever you want. Obviously within the realms of photography, maybe give or take. But yeah, it's just sort of, yeah, there is no, I personally haven't come across very many, if any, limitations to the work that I can produce, the support that I'm given. Yeah, I'm never told no, basically.
A lot of the workshops that we have are so useful for kind of like finding your own creative process, because that looks so different for everyone. But we have workshops like how to move forward, like how to kind of like select photos after you're done, kind of like every step of that kind of like more standard creative process. There is someone telling you, like giving you advice on like how to best to do it, and then obviously you kind of take that advice and you make it work for you. So I think then that said again, like there's a lot of structure to it as well.
Them things in the past not define me. I got my Lord on safety. Run to the money cause it pays me. About this money now.